हेलो बच्चों, वेलकम टू माय यूट्यूब चैनल #RVInfoPlus। आज हम जो करने जा रहे हैं वो है हमारी DOE के द्वारा दी गई वर्कशीट नंबर 26 गिवन ऑन 2nd of September 2020। जिन्होंने अभी तक चैनल को सब्सक्राइब नहीं किया है तो प्लीज सब्सक्राइब करना मत भूलिएगा। चैनल को शेयर और लाइक जरूर कीजिएगा। वीडियो के अंत तक बने रहिएगा क्योंकि हम एंड में इस वर्कशीट के क्वेश्चन आंसर भी डिस्कस करेंगे। तो लेट अस स्टार्ट टुडे अबाउट ह्यूमन रेस्पिरेटरी सिस्टम। व्हाट आर द डिफरेंट पार्ट्स एंड द फंक्शन ऑफ ह्यूमन रेस्पिरेटरी सिस्टम। लेट अस स्टार्ट फ्रॉम अ nostril or nose. Means the air is taken from the nostril into our lungs. In between these nostrils and lungs are different parts. We are going to study about those parts. The nostrils lead into an open space called as nasopharynx, pharyngeal area, where the oral cavity and the nasal cavity unite together. Its area is called as pharynx. Pharynx lead into a bumpy portion that is called as larynx, also called as sound box. When you just put your fingers near your neck region and you can feel the vibration produce, means the sound producing structure is the larynx. It is also called as Adam's apples in male. When the male get mature, it protrude out and forms an Adam apple. The Adam apples or the larynx lead into a pipe, a tubular structure called as trachea. Trachea is also called as windpipe. After traveling downward, trachea divide into two parts, bifurcate into two parts called as bronchi. Right bronchi and the left bronchi. The right bronchi enter into the right lungs and the left bronchi enters into the left lungs. After entering the lungs, this bronchi terminates into large number of finer tubes called as bronchioles. At the tips of each bronchioles, there is a sac-like structure, balloon-like structure called as alveoli. Now let us try to understand what are the function of these different parts. When the air is taken into the nostril, it enters into the nostrils. The nostril is lined by a mucus lining and here gauge is formed. Here the air is filtered, the dust particles are being removed from the air. Even the dust particles just tucks into the mucus lining. The air is taken into the nasopharyngeal area. Here the air is warm and moist. Means the air is now a bit warmer and it is laden with moisture. The moist and the warm air is pulled into the larynx. Larynx, as we have seen, that is a voice producing portion of the human being. Means the voice, the sound is produced in the larynx. From the larynx, the air enters into the trachea. Trachea is a long tubular part which is surrounded by the ring of cartilage. Means you are seeing these rings, there are rings of cartilage. What function they perform actually? You must have seen when you switch off the water pipe motor, you switch off the motor of the water pipe, it just collapses. In the same way, during the passage of air in and out, there may be a certain period of time where the air pressure inside the trachea goes down. This may collapse the trachea. To prevent the trachea from collapsing, it is being surrounded by the ring of cartilage which supports the trachea in the normal shape. We have often seen that when we were talking or we are just watching TV, the food particle or the water particles get enter into your windpipe, and a sudden coughing or sneezing effect causes them to pull it out. What happens in that case? What happens to prevent this? The trachea is often guarded by a flap-like structure. The mouth of the trachea is often guarded by a flap-like structure called as epiglottis. What is this function of this epiglottis? Epiglottis prevents the food particles to enter into your windpipe. It is under the control of central nervous system, so the adult people always advise not to divert your mind while eating or drinking. The epiglottis is a flap-like structure which prevents the food particles to enter into your windpipe. And the second important question is about the role of the ring of cartilage. Means two questions which are randomly asked in your board examination about the function of epiglottis and the role of ring of cartilage. After traveling a while, the trachea divides into two bronchi. Each bronchi enters into a muscular sac-like structure called as lungs. Lungs are a bag-like structure which are very elastic in nature. These bronchi terminate into large number of bronchioles, smaller and thin, fine bronchioles. And at the tip of these bronchioles, there are sac-like structures. These are a bunch of grapes you are seeing here. Sac-like structures which are called as alveoli. Actually, the exchange of gases take place at the alveolar surface. Means the alveoli, we have previous worksheet we have seen that respiratory structure should be lined by blood capillary, should be large surface area, and also have thin and permeable membrane so that easy diffusion of gases can take place. So the exchange of gases between the air with the surrounding and the blood will take place on the alveolar surface. The concentration of oxygen present inside the alveolar sac is more as compared into the blood. So the oxygen will diffuses into the blood, and the carbon dioxide, with the concentration of carbon dioxide in blood is more, so will it diffuse into the alveolar surface, which is withdrawn during the process of exhalation. Later we will also study about inhalation and exhalation. So the complete process of exchange of gases take place on the alveolar surface. Now come to the mechanism of breathing. How inhalation and exhalation, when you go through the worksheet, there is a right hand side, there is a column difference between inhalation and exhalation. It comes under the mechanism of breathing. When you breathe, actually what happens? Let us start an activity. Just we inhale an air. What we are experiencing, our thoracic cavity is being raised up and pulled forward, and the stomach get inside. During inhalation process, the upliftment of the thoracic cage causes the increase in the volume of the thoracic cavity, due to which the pressure inside the lungs decreases. Now the pressure outside is more as compared to the lung. The air is pushed into the lungs, means from the high pressure to the low pressure. During exhalation, there is downward and inward movement of the thoracic cavity, causing the decrease in the volume of the lungs or thoracic cavity. in causing the increase in the pressure. Now the pressure inside the thoracic cavity is more as compared to outside. That pushes the air back to the surrounding. So the mechanism of breathing take place with the upward and downward movement of the thoracic cage. There is an important role of diaphragm. What is diaphragm? Actually, it is a membranous structure which divides the thoracic cavity and the abdominal cavity. Means abdominal cavity and the thoracic. There is a layer called as diaphragm. It also plays an important role during exhalation and inhalation. You can see here is the diaphragm. During inhalation process, the diaphragm become flat. The position of the diaphragm is flat. This also helps in increasing the volume of the thoracic cavity. And while we are breathing out during exhalation, the diaphragm position is dome shaped. Means it becomes dome shaped, which help in decreasing the volume of the thoracic cavity. Now let us see about your worksheet. When you go through the worksheet, first they have explained about the different respiratory parts and function of the respiratory structures, and then there is an inhalation and exhalation differences. We have seen thoracic cavity expands in inhalation, and in exhalation thoracic cavity contracts. Now you can answer it why it expands and contracts. Now the ribs lift up, the lifting up of the ribs. During exhalation what happens? Ribs moves downward. Third, diaphragm become flat in shape. During inhalation I have told you the diaphragm become flat in shape. During exhalation the diaphragm become dome shape. Third, the volume of the lung increases and the air enters into the lungs. This all process helps to increase the volume of the lungs during inhalation, as the air is moved into the lungs. And during exhalation what happens? Volume of the lung decreases and the air exits from the lungs. So we have seen about the difference between inhalation and exhalation. Now let us understand about the mechanism with the help of a model. I have just prepared a model of a respiratory. I have taken a bottle, a plastic bottle, cut it from half of the piece. See, a balloon is being placed at the cut portion here. I have used a pen. This is a lid, making a hole into the lid and placing a balloon, small holy balloon here I have taken it. Now we will see the role of diaphragm. This is diaphragm. This is the thorax. Now when we pull the diaphragm downward, see the air is blown up. See, you can see the pumping of the balloon, lungs. The role of, with this help of model, you can understand the role of the diaphragm in inhalation and exhalation. We are inhaling, we are exhaling. Means when we are pulling, it become dome shape. Diaphragm become dome shape. Exhaled air, the balloon is pumped out. Air is pumped out. Diaphragm become fat. The balloon is now filled with air. So this model you can prepare at home. Very nice, very simple to make it. I have used just household things. I can't go outside during lockdown. Whatever was available at my home, I have used that thing to prepare this model. So I think we have discussed the question answers. We have discussed the topic. I hope you have understand the content very nicely. Keep doing your efforts. Just do these questions in your copy. And thanks for watching. Keep watching my channel. If you just have liked my channel, my content, write in the comment box, and don't forget to subscribe my channel. Thank you. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.